becoming virtuous. He's not so worried about jobs, which is perhaps just as well. So he would say that you learn it the hard way, and that the hard way is a kind of complicated development of virtue and knowledge and all of this kind of stuff. If one can get a handle, so let me give you a different answer to that question. If one can get a handle on what virtue might be like, then that's what he would say. That virtue is something that we understand by virtue, that we understand in terms of how it develops, how we come to be that way. And it's a long and slow and hard process. And that seems to me to get something right. So no would be the answer.
Okay. I think we've got time for one more, maybe one from our visitors. Or not, Phil.
Do you think that the whole issue of the self boils down to an issue of language? In that, by talking about yourself, you're struggling to express what it is to be yourself through an instrument.
So you think...
Could you repeat that question?
The question is whether this is really an issue about language, and that what... So would the corollary be that if we cleaned our language up, either there would be no problem or we'd be able to do it? And that seems... So the question would be this: is it the case? Is this a problem that comes from having language that's reflexive, or do we have reflexive language? I mean, it's a connected question to yours. Do we have reflexive language because we have locations for the self in the first instance? I think probably the sensible answer is that you can't rank order those two issues, that we have the language we have because of who we are. But the causal account has to be that way down, it seems to me. So I think, no. Is that what I would say?
Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. So, just like to say thanks very much. It's a token of my appreciation. Thanks for listening, everyone. Our next speaker is Simon Blackburn on Friday, so we'll see you all there, or here. And yeah, thanks very much. See you later.
Good. It's great, isn't it? What?
It has to be, because otherwise the experiment collapses.
They listen to each other.
Well, they don't. They listen, and when they hear sound, I know, but when they hear the sound, they have these weird competitions. But they don't. It's not that. You have to remember, it's not like watching television. It's being in the television. So the idea is that I sit here and you're sitting beside me, and I think me is having a competition with you.
Oh, is that what goes on?
It must be.
I see.
And the noises that are made, I associate with there. So it's a weird...
How would they know? Presumably, there's no clear distinction.
Apparently not.
Can you move your arm?
No, you can't. I think you're just absolutely...
How would they know
There's
that
perspective.
you can see something, and then you can hear a perspective of something coming next to you.
Right,
and
so
you're
I think
projecting
that...
from here.
I think the idea is that all your information comes from in front of you.
But how would you know
Always.
that it was shadow?
Well,
Exactly.
That's exactly the point that was made. Brilliant.
I see. So the stuff
So
about
the idea of saying it's
reverberation.
yours, and saying, when you say, so the competitions are important, so what happens is, you go, I won! Now, you can't do that, quite, because you're...
But then why
Hey,
why can we use the eye concept then if we
Quite.
Well,
Because we've got it wrong. And it's true, of course, that it's true that that shadow is your shadow. And it's true that in another context you'd be able to say, that's me. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this has never happened to you because I'm sure you're all terribly sort of together and sane, but I have had occasions when I've gone into a shop with one of those big mirrors and gone, who's that? And then I think, oh God, it's me. That's terrible. That makes sense, right? It's not that that's incoherent linguistically. That's me. But it isn't you. It's your reflection. Now what they're doing is they're saying that's me, but they don't have me. All they've got is that.
What about their thoughts?
Well,
But those
the
things don't
argument
have their
that
thoughts.
Plato gives us is that all of their thinking and speaking and
So then nothing's
vision.
private.
No. Well, they don't see that it's private.
They've only been
I wonder whether maybe that's a good question. So I wonder whether maybe privacy is something that goes back to the
you might
questions
think
about
that the privacy of your thoughts.
privacy. It was you, wasn't it? Privacy develops as something that you become an individual as you walk up and walk back down again. And that's got something to do with being able to see things from different perspectives, I think, oddly. So there's a kind of, I think I call this stereoscopy, that when you face the cave wall, you just see in one direction. But when you come back down again, you can kind of go, ooh, look, and walk round and see things from different points of view.
But
And I think that's the
doesn't Plato think that we're the people in the cave?
Yes, he does. But that's his worry. Right? And if it's about virtue, then that works too. That we've got this 2D version of ourselves that may or may not be just located in our cultures and our contexts. But you can't, somehow or other you've got to kind of climb out of it, he thinks. Be your own man, you know, that kind of stuff. But that's not, it's not that version of it.
So you don't think that while you're trained up you can have second order considerations about, for example, whether or not that actually is you?
I don't think you can have those kinds of second... I mean, he would say that in ordinary conversation, so he does suppose that second order thinking is important. But I think that when he